In 1956, the Interstate Highway System officially began.
The Interstate Highway System, a 41,000-mile network of our most important roads.
And the first project to break ground was here, on a stretch of road west of St. Louis that would become Interstate 70. Nearly 70 years later, Missouri is tearing back into that same highway. Across nearly 200 miles, crews are widening I-70, rebuilding bridges, redesigning interchanges, and reconstructing one of the most important freight corridors in the country. And they have to do all of this while the highway remains open. But why does one highway need more than $3 billion in work? And why rebuild so much of it at once? This is the story of Missouri's massive I-70 rebuild, and the extreme engineering effort required to give one of America's first interstates a second life. On major portions of the new I-70, you will not be driving on asphalt. Your tires will be riding directly on an 11-inch thick concrete slab. Previously, this section had asphalt laid over the original, thinner concrete highway. Crews now grind away that asphalt, then break the old concrete into small, tight, interlocked pieces through a process called rubblization. Instead of hauling the old road away, they turn it into part of the new foundation. Crews add crushed rock above it, creating a stable base that spreads loads and allows water to drain away. Then a slip-form paving machine, like this one, places the new 11-inch concrete surface. But why use concrete, especially when 94% of paved roads in the US are asphalt surfaced? Well, I-70 is no ordinary road. It's a major freight corridor, with more than 1 out of every 4 vehicles being a truck. Those heavy axle loads place far greater stress on pavement than passenger vehicles, and that's repeated tens of thousands of times each day. Asphalt is flexible, it bends slightly under traffic, which makes it relatively fast and affordable to install and repair. But under repeated heavy loads, and during Missouri's hot summers and freezing winters, it can deform and require more frequent resurfacing. Concrete behaves differently. It's rigid, so instead of flexing directly beneath each tire, the slab spreads that force across a much larger area of the foundation. The pavement is divided into individual concrete panels, with steel dowel bars crossing the joints. When a truck reaches the edge of one panel, those bars transfer part of its weight into the next panel, keeping the slab edges aligned and reducing stress. Concrete costs more upfront and takes longer to build, which is why every road is not constructed this way. A neighborhood street doesn't need nearly a foot of concrete. But on a heavily traveled interstate expected to carry freight for decades, Missouri is choosing the stronger, longer life pavement system. Okay, I may have gotten slightly carried away with the concrete, but that same level of engineering is unfolding across nearly 200 miles of the interstate. This is all part of the Improve I-70 program, more than $3.3 billion of work, divided into 8 major construction sections stretching between the outskirts of St. Louis and Kansas City. When it's complete, this entire corridor will have been widened from 4 lanes to 6. But as I mentioned in the intro, there's a whole lot more than just widening as part of this work. So from here, we're going to travel the project from east to west, and we begin near Wentzville, where the program almost immediately runs into one of its most complicated problems. Here, east-west traffic on I-70 meets I-64 approaching from the southwest, US 61 continuing north, and local drivers entering and exiting around Wentzville. From this satellite view, it looks like a tangle of ramps and bridges, but down on the ground, it's a competition between several traffic streams trying to merge, separate, or cross paths. That creates weaving. Every lane change disrupts the traffic behind it, and when that traffic includes fully loaded semis, the effects can spread quickly through the interchange. This is the eastern end of the $600 million Warrenton to Wentzville project, a 20-mile reconstruction scheduled to finish in late 2028. Crews are adding that third lane in each direction, replacing the existing interstate with full-depth concrete, and widening part of I-64. But the most unusual constraint appears just west of the junction. Here, I-70 passes beneath an active Norfolk Southern Railroad bridge. The opening was built for an older, narrower interstate, with 2 lanes in each direction and tight shoulders. There's not enough room beneath it to simply add another lane and modern shoulders. Engineers considered raising I-70 over the railroad, but that would have required potentially lifting the highway significantly and creating a longer, steeper grade. Heavy trucks would lose speed climbing it, potentially creating a new bottleneck beside the interchange. Instead, the selected design shifts I-70 slightly southwest while replacing the railroad bridge above it. That gives the highway the width it needs without forcing traffic over that new grade. West of Warrenton is the program's longest section, 44 continuous miles and roughly $580 million in future work. The contract is expected to be awarded in November of 2026, with construction running from 2027 through late 2030. Because the final design hasn't yet been selected, many details, including bridge replacements, remain undecided. Next is the 20-mile section from Kingdom City to Columbia, where construction is already underway on a $426 million rebuild scheduled for completion in late 2027. Here, crews are rebuilding the corridor as 6 new concrete lanes, widening both shoulders, and reconstructing the major interchanges at US 54 in Kingdom City and US 63 in Columbia. The real challenge is staging. 2 lanes must remain open in each direction during peak periods, so crews build new pavement beside traffic, shift vehicles onto it, and then demolish and replace the roadway they just vacated. Next is Columbia to Rocheport, where the program becomes far more structurally complex. This $441 million section packs 14 new bridges into just 14 miles, along with rebuilt urban interchanges and new connections across Perch Creek. The standout feature is a collector-distributor road, a separate set of lanes that handles entering and exiting traffic before it reaches the interstate. By separating those movements from through traffic, it reduces the weaving that normally occurs when vehicles merge and exit within a short distance. Construction began in spring of 2026 and is scheduled to continue through late 2029. But before continuing west, the interstate has to cross the Missouri River. For decades, every vehicle on I-70 was forced into a single aging bridge built in 1960. Widening the highway on either side would accomplish little if traffic still had to squeeze through that same fixed bottleneck. Missouri replaced it with 2 parallel bridges, each wide enough for 3 lanes and full shoulders. Crews first built one bridge beside the original crossing and shifted traffic onto it. They then demolished the old bridge and constructed the second new span in its place. Although the Rocheport Bridge was delivered separately from the main Improve I-70 contracts, it created the 6-lane river crossing that the entire statewide program now depends on. Immediately west of the bridge, the next 13-mile section presents another tight physical constraint. Crews must widen 2 existing bridges. One crosses an active Union Pacific rail line, while the other connects directly into the new bridge. That leaves little flexibility. The widened structures must maintain rail clearance below, traffic above, and an exact alignment into the river crossing. The $104 million project began in spring of 2026 and is scheduled for completion in late 2027. Next comes one of the program's largest remaining sections, 42 miles from Boonville to Concordia, with an estimated cost of roughly $540 million. Before the final bridge designs can be selected, engineers are drilling into the ground at structure locations to map the soil and bedrock below. Those investigations will determine whether existing foundations can be reused, strengthened, or must be replaced entirely. Construction is expected to run from fall 2027 through late 2030. Between Concordia and Odessa, crews remove the existing pavement rather than just covering it with another surface. Unlike most of the larger contracts, this section will use design, bid, build. Engineers will finish the plans first, and contractors will then compete to construct that completed design. Work is scheduled from 2027 through late 2029. And finally, the last section carries the project into the suburban edge of Kansas City. This $350 million contract includes 14 more bridge replacements, 2 major interchange improvements, and full-depth reconstruction and widening of the existing highway. Construction began in September of 2025, and by late 2028, that final section will connect the rebuilt interstate directly into the Kansas City Metro. And I didn't mention it, but the program also expands truck parking. Drivers operate under federal limits on how long they can remain behind the wheel. Trucks often have ended up near ramps or shoulders. I asked at the beginning, why do all of this at once? Why not rebuild I-70 one section at a time, like most major highway projects? A large part of the answer is that so much traffic uses this corridor to cross the entire state. If Missouri widened one section to 6 lanes but left the next at 4, traffic would repeatedly compress back down, creating bottlenecks that could remain for years. By rebuilding nearly 200 miles on the same timeline, Missouri is treating I-70 as one connected system. And when the work is finished, the state will have a wider, stronger highway prepared to carry the next generation across Missouri. I'm Josh, this is Buildcorps, thanks for watching.